الله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين اللهم يسر ولا تعسر رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Inshallah, we'll take our fourth lesson on تعليم المتعلم Tariq al-Ta'allum, a book that was written by Imam Burhan al-Islam al-Zarnuji over 800 years ago, a book with a powerful message that continue to be with us today, inshallah. As Hamid mentioned, this is our third lesson on chapter 1, which is فصل في ماهية العلم والفقه وفضله, right?
نعم.
So let's go. وأما حفظ ما يقع
وأما حفظ ما يقع في بعض
أحايين. So we spoke about seeking knowledge and the type of knowledge that are important. And we said that the knowledge that we're talking about, we're only talking about knowledge of the things that do happen in our life or things that we do anticipate is going to happen in future. We start having knowledge about that to prepare ourselves. All right? But there are some other things that they are only happening sometimes, not always. They will come once in a while. So those are وَأَمَّا حِفْظُ مَا يَقَعُ فِي بَعْضِ الْأَحَايِينِ. But memorizing or knowing and understanding the knowledge of things that do happen sometimes. So they're not like always or ongoing. They just come sometimes. For that matter, it is what?
ففرض على سبيل الكفاية.
Kifaya. So that one is fardul kifaya. When we talk about fardul kifaya and fardul ain, fardul ain is anything that you have to do, no one does it on your behalf. So you come to the masjid and they prayed dhuhr. You cannot say because they prayed you've done. Or it's Ramadan and you said, oh, okay, since Ramadan is done, I'm already. No, you have to do it. That is fardul ain. It is on you, obligatory, and you have to do it regardless. But when you talk about fardul kifaya, it is something that when some members of the community have already taken that responsibility to do it, then the rest who do not, it is not compulsory on them.
No.
And that is basically when you talk about funeral prayer. So for funeral prayer, it is fard, it is compulsory, but ala sabili al-kifaya, which is when you come and they say, oh, such a person passed away. So what happened? Oh, they've already prayed and buried. You don't need to go and organize another congregation and make that. No. So far, but if the whole community decided to neglect or ignore a Muslim brother or sister who passed away and they decided because everyone is busy with their job, they did not go for the funeral, then the whole community has committed a sin. All right? So that is why it is fardul kifaya. So those are the things. If it is compulsory, of course, but as long as some members of the community have taken that responsibility, sakata and baqi, the rest don't need to worry about it.
نعم. إذا قام به البعض في
إذا
البلد.
قام به البعض, if part of the community قام به, have established that particular fard, that particular thing that we're talking about, which is ala sabil al-kifaya, it is something that is not, it is compulsory, but not as like our daily prayer. If part of the community قام به, have established that, then
في البلدة
within the community, within the country, if some part of them have done it, سقط عن الباقي, then the rest don't need to worry about it. And the same thing applies to even, we're talking about knowledge of inheritance. That is one of the difficult and also one of the earliest of knowledge that will be taken. So when it happens that within the Muslim community, there are no people who knows how to share inheritance, then at that moment it becomes compulsory upon the Muslim leadership to organize and get someone to go and study. But if they got 10, 20 imams, but 2 of them knows how to share inheritance, then it's okay. So normally those are how it works. Now, فإن لم
فإن لم يكن في البلدة من يقوم به اشتركوا جميعا في المأثم.
Naam. So when it happens in the town, no one can establish that particular fard, then the whole community has fallen into sin. All right? Yes, so ma'atham, sin. So they've committed sin. As long as there is no one person or there are no group of people who were able to establish that particular aspect, then all of them have committed a sin. فَيَجِبُ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ. So
أن يأمرهم بذلك.
so then at that moment it becomes compulsory upon the Imam and ya'amurahum, to command them or instruct them min dhalik, right? Bidhalik, to establish that. And I remember we spoke about this some time back regarding our society and our community. We said most of our masajids, our imams are being imported. All right? So what happens if it gets to a stage where those imams have died and we don't have anyone that they have produced? What happened with our community? What do we do today? Now, how many houses that if a person dies, his children can bath him, his children can shred him? How many communities do you have people who can deal with that? So when the whole entire community do not have someone that can do that, then that particular community are committing sin. So what happened is it is compulsory upon our leadership to create a system whereby we have to organize ourselves and get someone to go and have that particular knowledge. And we say this in all aspects, as I always made mention here. Now, for example, when we look at our society, everyone who has a child is hoping, aiming that child become one richest person tomorrow. No one is thinking, am I planning for my child to be someone who is going to take care of the deen, whether that person will be an imam or that person can be a hafiz. We don't think of that and we don't even put it as part of our plans. Why? Because our mindset is on dunya. So when we all do that, it will reach a stage. No one is going to tell us that our deen is going to leave us, but we don't have anything to sustain it. No. And that is where the Prophet ﷺ said, it will reach a time when you say La ilaha illallah, someone will say, oh, I used to hear this word before. A Muslim is telling you, I used to hear this word before. I thought it's a joke until I saw 3 months ago when there was a documentary. A lady was saying, when they said La ilaha illallah, she said, I remembered my dad used to say this word. Those words, up till now, I feel it in my heart, even though I don't know the meaning. They said, what is that word? She said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. She's not a Muslim, but her dad was an Afghan chameleon. And she was saying that I know a word that my dad used to say. All right? And imagine her situation. She loves that word, but she does not even know what that word means. How do where do you stand in terms of whether she's a Muslim or not? Whether she loves the word to the extent she said, it's always in my heart, but she does not even know what she's saying. Okay? So those are the problems. We don't want to reach a stage where we will not be on this planet and our kids or grandchildren can only say we used to hear these words, but we don't know or we're not part of it anymore. All right? So those are the fear. Now,
ويجبر أهل البلدة عليه.
So Yajbura, the Imam has to then force the people of the town on this thing. They need to at least organize. So as I always say, if we can get families to at least, yes, they want their kids to excel in education, but they should try as say, look, this member of our family, this child in our family, we brought him as a community. Let's sponsor that child. Go and study. Go and memorize Quran. Come back. We see his mustawa. Now go back to school. When you finish school, we can sponsor. Go back and study ilm sharia. Come back with what? Created something within our mujtama. Then we can have a sustainable future. But if everyone is thinking of dunya, I want a banker, I want an accountant, I want a doctor, I want an engineer, no one cares about the deen, then we are then all committing sin at the end of the day. Now,
وقد قيل
it's been said,
إن علم ما يقع على نفسه في
any
جميع
knowledge that is on its own, على نفسه on its own في جميع الأحوال in all affairs, هو بمنزلة الطعام. It is like a food. So any knowledge that it is more or less active, the knowledge or the information is needed in every single day, every single affairs, that knowledge is like food. Why is it so? Because you cannot live without food. So far as you will eat every single day, it is important for you to make sure that you know how to cook. Same thing applies to things that are happening every day, like salat. You will pray every day. So at least the minimum of knowing how to pray, what is qabli, what is ba'di, what is fard, what is sunnah, what is mustahab. You have to know it. It's not about being a scholar because it is part and parcel of your life every day. So you need to have this knowledge. So that is one important thing. The knowledge that is active and it is very important in every single day in our affairs. It said, huwa bimanzilati ta'am. It is like food.
لا بد لكل واحد منه.
So you cannot eat and I said, so far as you've eaten, I'm full. No. When you eat doesn't mean that I don't have to eat. I still have to eat. So everyone needs food. All right? The same thing, everyone needs those knowledge. It doesn't matter whether there's an imam or not, whether there's a mufti or not, whether there's a sheikh or not. If I'm going to pray, something happened in my prayer, I should know how to fix it. So everyone needs to know the affairs of salat. Now,
وعلم ما يقع في بعض الأحايين.
But the knowledge of things that do happen sometimes, it's not always. All right? For example, when we talk about Eid prayer, it only happens twice a year. There are possibilities that you even forget it.
No.
That's why before the Eid prayer, Imam is encouraged to remind us because we might even forget it. You know, so things that are not happening every single day. All right? So that is said, بمنزلة الدواء.
نعم.
It is like medicine. When do you take medicine? Every day? No. Only when it's needed, when you're sick. All right? So those sort of knowledge, you only seek or search for it the time that you need it. All right? So it is not as your daily prayer, which is done every single day. Now,
يحتاج إليه حين المرض.
the only time that it is needed is حين المرض, when someone is sick. Marad sick, right? So hina, at the time of sickness, that is the time you need the medicine.
نعم.
All right? نعم.
وعلم النجوم.
وعلم النجوم بمنزلة المرض.
نعم.
And also the knowledge of an-nujum, stars, which is to talk about horoscope, right?
Yeah.
So that particular type of knowledge, to say that we're going to seek this knowledge بمنزلة المرض, so that we can look at people's sickness, whether they're going to survive or not. Okay? فَتَعَلُّمُهُ حَرَامٌ. That is definitely haram. Why will you tell someone that, oh, this sickness, according to your star, you're not going to survive it? Are you helping that person or you're hurting that person more? Oh, this lady you want to marry, oh, no, forget it. Your stars don't match. Are you helping, or because what happened is you put the person in a state whereby they forgot the qadr of Allah, they forgot that Allah can do, because you've already told them it's not possible. All right? That is a big thing, to tell someone that, oh, don't worry about this lady, your star did not. So where is Allah's work for you to lean on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Where tawakkul is? All right? Or this sickness, you're not going to get better. Who told you that? Because your stars and the way it, no. That is not helping. So for you to take that particular knowledge purposely for this aspect of investigation or searching, it is haramun. Okay? لِأَنَّهُ يَضُرُّ. Because it only harms. Okay? It harms. وَلَا يَنْفَعُ. It does not benefit. Okay? يَضُرُّ وَلَا يَنْفَعُ. It only harms, it does not benefit. Now,
والهرب من قضاء الله تعالى.
what happens is it makes a person run away from the qadr of Allah, or what Allah has ordained. Okay? So now you're trying to act upon, okay, then that's it. I look for someone to blame because this guy said that according to the star, that. So you forget the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you are leaning on someone, you're giving the powers of Allah to someone else. So harbu That is running away min qada'illah, from what Allah has ordained.
وقدره غير
And
ممكن.
also wa qadrihi, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr. All right? غير ممكن, you're trying to say that it's not possible for Allah to do things because someone told you it's not going to work and you believe that person.
فينبغي لكل مسلم أن يستغل في جميع أوقاته
It is
بذكر
very
الله.
important. ينبغي لكل مسلم, it is important for every single Muslim أن يشتغل, to keep himself or herself busy في جميع أوقاته, all their time
بذكر
بذكر
الله
الله
تعالى.
تعالى, with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to connect with Allah, you want to always remember Allah. Allah is telling you فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ, remember me, I will remember you. So here you are, you've already forgotten Allah because of what someone says. So at any given time, and we said this as Shaitan himself said, there are some people, it is difficult to come closer to them. At any given time when you come, they remember Allah and we run away. He said, I run away. When I come back, they mention Allah. Such people, Bismillah. Shaitan runs away. He comes back, they don't even know Shaitan is around. Alhamdulillah. Shaitan ran away. He's going to do something. La ilaha illallah. Shaitan ran away. Everything that they do, Allah is mentioned. So the Shaitan cannot be in their company. So he's saying that it is very important for every single Muslim to spend most of their time بذكر with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, والدعاء, and also supplication. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Hadith al-Quds, whoever concentrates so much in my dhikr to the extent he couldn't even get time to make dua and ask me, I'll give him more than what I give those who ask me. All right? So it is very important to do more dhikr and also dua, tadarru', and also humbleness. One should humble himself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, qira'atil Quran, and also a recitation of the Quran. As we know, the Quran is a sila between a servant and his creator. When you are reading the Quran at any given time, it's like you are holding one part of the rope and Allah is holding the other part. So you got direct connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والصدقات الدافعة للبلاء, and also giving sadaqah, because sadaqah by itself protects you from any calamities. That's why it's always encouraged, regardless of zakat, at any given time, you just sit down and feel like, okay, let me just give charity, and always make intention, Ya Allah, protect me. Ya Allah, do so. Always when you're giving charity, make sure you remember to have intention about it, inshallah. Naam.
ويسأل الله تعالى العفو والعافية.
So at any
الدنيا.
given time, when you're making the dua, you're reading, making the dhikr, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-afu. May Allah subhanahu, you always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pardon you. Okay? Wal-afiyah, and also give you, protect you. Fi dunya, in this dunya, wal-akhirah, and also hereafter. ليصونه الله تعالى عن البلاء والآفات. By doing that, you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you from any difficulties and things that are harmful. Okay, difficulties and harmful things. فإن من رزق الدعاء. For indeed anyone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given opportunity to make dua, anybody that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave opportunity to make dua, lam yuhramil ijaba, Allah will not deny the person acceptance of the supplication. So as long as Allah has given you opportunity to ask, then He is ready to answer. And this, I remember we have a talk somewhere, and I think after how many months, people were still arguing that how can we say that if you ask, Allah will definitely answer. They will keep going forward and backward. This is the promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In terms of how Allah answers, they are different. Sometimes Allah will answer you straight away. We've seen how Allah answered the Prophet. Musa alayhi salam asked Allah, Ya Allah, I want my brother Harun to be a prophet. Straight away, Allah gave Harun prophethood. When they got to the shore, there's no way out. They just have to ask Allah straight away. Allah split the ocean into two for Musa alayhi salam. But there are other things that did happen. Allah ignored them, right? Among them was what? when Allah said to them that we've given you the promised land, how long did it take? It took 40 years. All right? If you look at the map, Sinai and Israel, it's not much. But it took them 40 years. They kept going the same place, get lost, and then come back to the same place. 40 years. Does that mean Allah did not answer the dua? He answered, but it's not the time. All right? The same thing applies to when Musa alayhi salam asked Allah to let him see him, right? What did he say? Arini anzur ilayka. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, lan tarani. He didn't say it's not possible. It's just you cannot see me at this particular moment. But just to give you some sort of this thing, فانظر إلى الجبل إن استقر مكانه. Look at the mountain. If that mountain stays where it is, فسوف تراني. If it's not possible to, Allah could have warned Musa, never ask me about this again. How we know that? Look in the Quran again. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he asked Allah to forgive his dad, because his dad was not a Muslim, straight away Allah did not delay. Allah warned him, never ask me about this again. Look at Nuh alayhi salam. When he said, Ya Allah, forgive my son, Canaan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, he is not even part of your children. Don't ask me about it again. Allah could have warned Musa and said, don't ask this. But he said, no. إِنِ اسْتَقَرَّ مَكَانَهُ فَسَوْفَ تَرَانِي. Look at the mountain. If that mountain stays where it is, you will see me. فَلَمَّا تَجَلَّى رَبَّهُ لِلْجَبَلِ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned towards the mountain, what happened? The mountain turned into dust. If mountain can turn into dust for the light of Allah, imagine if it could have been sent on Musa, he could have torn into pieces. So this, for Allah to deny him that time, is out of mercy. But having said that, the dua is still answered, because that is the promise of Allah. If he is not ready to give you, he will not even give you opportunity to ask. So that is why you need to always have that hope and trust in Allah. The moment you get the opportunity to ask, okay, Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, he himself said, when you are asking Allah, Allah said, Udu'ullah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba. So why do you question when we say that Allah will answer at any given time? Allah is saying, Udu'ullah, ask Allah, wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba, and have certainty that it will be answered. And you are saying that, no, you shouldn't be sure. Allah is telling you, yes, when you are asking, do not have doubt. Udu'ullah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba. When you are asking Allah and supplicating to Allah, have certainty that your dua is being answered. So who said that when you ask Allah, it will not be answered, or you shouldn't even have hope? You know, that did not come in the discussion. Now,
فإن كان البلاء مقدرا يسبه لا محالة.
So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already ordained bala, a calamity will befall you, la mahala, nothing will change that. Alright? We said that make dua, right? The Prophet ﷺ is saying that la yaruddu al-qadra illa bid-dua. Nothing will change the qadr of Allah except with dua. Except with dua. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already written that something will happen, la mahala, but you are a person who is always giving charity, you are a person who is always making dua, seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help and protect you from any calamities, what will happen? Yes, of course, that will happen, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reduce the impact of that thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reduce the impact of that thing, all right? So that is to say that if what has happened is supposed to happen, la mahala, there's no anything that will stop that. Lakin, what happened?
يسرحوه الله عليه.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yuyassiruhu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easier for him. Okay? Yuyassiruhu Allahu alayhi, Allah will make it easier. وَيَرْزُقْهُ sabra, and Allah will give him patience, because the patience by itself, when you go through calamity, you get reward for that patience. I remember today's discussion was about that as well. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested you and you have patience, then he rewards you. Because of your dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you with sabr, so that the difficulties that you go through, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easier for you. Why? Bibarakati dua. Because of the dua that you've been doing, Allah will make your affairs easier. So even if it is calamity that has been befall on you, Allah will lessen the impact or give you sabr to deal with it so that you get double reward for the test and also having patience. Now,
اللهم إلا إذا تعلم من النجوم قدر ما يعرف به القبلة.
now we spoke about seeking the knowledge of nujum, horoscope, and we said it is haram bimanzilat al-marad, if you are only checking someone's sickness, if he's going to get better or not. Now he's come back to discuss that again. Allahumma, Ya Allah, or accept illa except إذا تعلم من النجوم, except when he seeks or search the knowledge of the stars. For what? قدر ما يعرف به القبلة. You know, within the limits of being able to get the direction of his salah. Of course, you need the knowledge of the stars to be able to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. وأوقات الصلاة. And also when you do that, just to be able to know the prayer time, there's nothing wrong with that.
فيجوز ذلك.
فيجوز ذلك, that seeking knowledge of stars for this purpose is allowed. Alright? Some went further and said the same thing applies to establishment of the moon sighting in the month of Ramadan. But with this, there are debates on whether that is allowed or not. Because what the Prophet ﷺ taught us in how to sight the moon, if you stick to that, you never go wrong. Anyway, sumu li ru'yatihi waftiru li ru'ya. Fast when you see the crescent and break your fast when you see the crescent. فَإِن غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَأَكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ 30 يَوْمًا. If it's too cloudy that you cannot see the sight the moon, then you should complete the calculation to be 30 days. If everyone stick to that, they will not have any issue. Now,
وأما تعلم علم الطب
وَأَمَّا تَعَلَّمُ عِلْمُ الطِّبِّ, but you seek the knowledge of tib, medicine.
فيجوز لأنه سبب من الأسباب.
It is accepted because it is part of sabab. When we say sabab min al-asbab, which is something that you can lean on among the things that you can lean on to do something else. So what we're trying to say regarding this is, you know, the Prophet ﷺ anyway, he himself has taught his companions how to heal some sicknesses and also prevent themselves from other sickness. So there's nothing wrong with seeking knowledge of medicine, knowing that the roots and also leaves and branches or fruits of trees that are of medicinal benefit. All right, you know that if I combine this tree and that tree, it will help to cure this sickness. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, remember, at the end of the day, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who heals, but also you will also take asbab.
Yeah.
As the Prophet ﷺ said, tie your camel before you ask for Allah's protection.
No.
You don't just leave the camel and then you say that, Ya Allah, I'm going to the prayer, look after it. Or you leave your car in front of the masjid with the key inside, you don't lock it and say, Allah, look after it because I'm going to pray to you. No. Lock the car and ask Allah's protection. All right? So that is when we talk about medicine, we are only taking that, but we're still asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the shafa'a. Now,
فيجوز تعلمه كسائر الأسباب.
and so for the seeking the knowledge of medicine, it is allowed to seek that knowledge كسائر الأسباب, like any other things that we can lean on. Now,
وقد تداوى النبي
وقد تداوى النبي, even the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam tadawa, he also did some medicine.
وقد حكي عن
It has been related to Imam al-Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi
أنه قال
that he said
العلم علم علمنا
al-ilmu ilman. So Imam al-Shafi'i, he said al-ilmu ilman, knowledge is categorized into two.
علم الفقه
Lil adyan.
نعم.
Ilmul fiqhi lil adyan. One of the knowledge that is recognized is ilmul fiqhi, the knowledge of jurisprudence, lil adyan, for the deen. Wa ilmul tibb lil abdan. And also the knowledge of medicine, lil abdan, for the body. Now, so he categorized knowledge into two. All right? You are either seeking the knowledge of jurisprudence, which is for your deen, or the knowledge of medicine for your body.
وما وراء ذلك Bulghatul Majlis.
So anything that goes behind these two knowledge is just something that one do for worldly gain. All right? It's for worldly gain. So if you become an accountant, what does that got to do with your religion? It's for worldly gain. Engineering is for worldly gain. You know, whatever job you... So anything that we do is for worldly gain because we need to survive in the world we live in. Of course, we can change the rewarding by having good intention to do good thing to earn something halal to serve the deen. Even though it's worldly, but we will be compensated because we serve the deen with whatever comes out of it. But in terms of knowledge that is more of importance are those two, according to Imam Shafi'i. One is the knowledge of jurisprudence, and one is the knowledge of medicine. Jurisprudence for your deen, medicine for your body, any other thing is for your worldly gain. Now,
وأما تفسير العلم فهو صفة يتجلى بها لمن قامت هي به المذكور كما هو.
نعم. So وأما تفسير العلم. But when we come to looking at knowledge by itself to explain it in detail, what do we want to look at? فهو صفة. It is more or less a sifa. When we say sifa, we mean like an adjective. It is there to describe something, okay? يتجلى بها لمن قامت هي لمن قامت. So here, anyone that has the knowledge will what? Will present the person in a way that the knowledge will let the person be seen. It will project that person. All right? So when you have a knowledge, that knowledge by itself is an adjective. It is an action that comes to expose you and make you look special in front of the mujtama. Here bihi al-mazkura kama huwa. As it is said, as we know, like we saw previously, al-ilmu zaynun li ahlihi.
No.
Okay? So those are the ideas he's trying to put across.
والفقه
but when it comes to the knowledge of jurisprudence,
معرفة الدقائق العلم
it is معرفة الدقائق العلم. The knowledge of jurisprudence is knowing the reality of knowledge مع نوع علاج. All right, with some ways of solution. All right, so it will teach you the reality of things, and then it will give you also the solution of those things.
قال أبو حنيفة
Abu
رحمة الله
Hanifa
عليه.
is being said. Abu Hanifa said, "Al-fiqhu
معرفة النفس."
He said that the knowledge of jurisprudence is knowing one's self, or knowing the heart, or knowing the soul. Malaha, what is with the soul,
وما
alayha,
عليها.
when what is against it. So that is how he described the knowledge of jurisprudence, which means that knowledge helps you to understand what is supporting and helping the soul to be good and achieve its aim, and also wama alayha, and what is against the soul for a person to stay away from, so that it does not lead that person to Jahannam. Now,
وقال ما العلم إلا العمل
and it
به.
also be said, regardless of what we're talking about, whether Imam Shafi, Hanafi, or whatever, the question is mal ilmu. What is knowledge? Okay? Illa al-amalu bihi. The reality of knowledge is not how much you've acquired, it's about how you act upon it. If you have knowledge but you don't utilize it, it is of no use. So that's why we always say, do not finish pages, do not finish books, but act upon what you've learned. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ, there were those who will open a page, who will read a verse of Quran. They will not go further until they memorize. When they memorize, they will not add any until they use and act upon those verses. So they were living, more or less, living interpretation of the Quran. They make sure every part of the Quran, when they read it, they act upon it. That is why when the Prophet ﷺ is saying regarding the Quran, imma to be for you or against you. Al-Quran hujjatun laka aw alayka. Quran is an evidence for you or against you. All right? If, let's say, for example, you read the Quran Allah is saying in the Quran, La tahasadu, do not be jealous. And then you come and you are jealous of some people. You are acting opposite the meaning. Do not hate people, you hate them. Do not insult, you are insulted. You do not abuse, you are abusing. So here you are not acting upon the Quran, and the Quran on the day of Qiyamah will testify against you. That's why it said the Quran will come, la'an, it will come and curse some people because they read it but they did not act upon it. So here it's saying that the importance of knowledge is not how much we acquired, but rather how we act upon it. Now,
والعمل به ترك العاجل لآجل.
Now, acting upon the knowledge, tarkul ajil, it stops a person from rushing lil ajil for things that are not ready. So what you do is you don't rush in taking action. If you have knowledge, you always assess things and act accordingly. That is the idea here.
فينبغي للإنسان
فينبغي للإنسان, so it is encouraged for every Muslim or every person
ألا يغفل عن نفسه
Allah yaghful
عن
an
نفسه
nafsi, should not forget about himself.
وما ينفعها
And
وما
also don't
يضرها.
forget what will benefit you. وَمَا يَضُرُّهَا, and what will also harm him. So you should know what will benefit your soul and what will harm your soul.
في أولها وأخراها.
في أولاها, in its dunya, which means in this time, وَأُخْرَاهَا, and hereafter. Whatever you do, see that thing, is it beneficial for me in this dunya and akhirah, or is it going to be a curse for me in this dunya and akhirah?
فيستجلب ما ينفعها
And then he will seek and ask for what will benefit himself.
ويجتنب ما يضرها.
يجتنب اجتناب, and he will stay away from ما يضرها, what will harm him.
كي لا يكون
كي لا يكون عقله وعلمه حجة عليه, so that his aql, the brain that Allah has given him, وعلمه, the knowledge that Allah has given him, it should not come on the day of Qiyamah to become evidence against him.
نعم. فيزداد عقوبة.
Because if that happens, his punishment will be increased.
نعوذ بالله من سخطه.
We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us min sukhtihi, from his anger, or from us disobeying him. Wa iqabihi, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from his punishment.
وقد ورد في مناقب العلم.
It's been said in the merit of knowledge, وفضائله, and its distant ayatun. There are a lot of verses of Quran that came to talk about the merit and importance of knowledge.
وأخبار
And also
صحيحة.
lots of akhbar, information or ahadith that came, which are sahiha, mashhura, that are very popular. Lam nashtagil bidhikriha, that we don't want to keep going mentioning them. Kay la yatul al-kitab, so that we don't lengthen the book. Wallahu a'lam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Inshallah, we'll take faslun fi niyyati hali ta'allum next week, inshallah. After Maghrib, we'll continue with the ilm of fiqh, inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. If there's